Welcome everyone to another episode of the Will and Rock MMA podcast.
What's going on, everybody? We were gone for a week on vacay. We're finally back. Let's jump straight into some of these rumored fights or things that are just going on in the MMA world.
A couple of people retired before we.
Oh my God, man! So we got
with the first one.
Alexander Gustafsson officially retires from mixed martial arts after losing and getting submitted by Jimmy Smith, which shows you the level that Jimmy Smith is on right now and the tear that Jimmy Smith is on right now after that loss that could easily set back most fighters like Glover Teixeira after he lost to John Jones. Gustafsson, to an extent at this point, I guess, losing to John Jones. A lot of these fighters who have been beaten by John Jones have not come back the same, and Jimmy Smith is just another day at the park for him, you know?
Yeah, man, right back into it, into the mix of things, and better than just winning with a guy like Gustafsson who loves to stand up. He goes, takes him to the ground and submits him. Tremendous performance by Jimmy Smith, and we're looking forward to seeing him again in the octagon.
Agreed, but let's thank Gustafsson for honestly just being an absolute warrior in the octagon. Always took every fight they threw against him, and he's by far the closest thing to beating John Jones at this point. And even then, it was a bit of a toss-up that it might have been Gustafsson that won that fight.
Without a doubt, but we have to take in consideration, really close. You could have literally thrown it up between John Jones and Gustafsson. Daniel Cormier, the same exact thing. You could have tossed it up. So one of those two would have could have easily won that fight. Rumble Johnson, if I'm not mistaken, he got hit with an illegal knee, and then loses the fight with an illegal headbutt or something along the lines of that. But too much. Situations where he got so really close to the title, so really close to the actual belt, holding the belt, and he fell short. It's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate, but man, he should not regret anything in his career. He's really been like an absolute trooper for the sport.
And with that being said, I mean, there's still rumors that he probably will come back eventually. You know, but right now he did hang up his gloves. He said, I'm retiring. I believe that he could easily come back with the heavyweight division, but that's a different story.
Interesting.
Let's jump into the next one.
I'm pretty sure he walks around heavyweight.
Yep.
And then another retirement, we have Mohammed King Mo Lawler, who honestly, one of the pioneers sport. He's been fighting for so many years. Never really touched down on the UFC, but if you go through the MMA market, you go through Bellator, you go through Strikeforce, you go to one championship. Yeah. I mean, he's really put up, and he's fought the best of the best outside of the UFC.
Hands down. And even the people that would leave the UFC and come over to like Rampage Jackson, who was one of the fights that he had,
who he actually
beat on Rampage. He would go up against whoever they put in front of him. We started to see a decline in the sense that he was getting way too many injuries throughout his career. So we started to see a decline, which eventually will lead him to lose a couple of fights. And now, you know, he announced his retirement. But tremendous career for the gentleman. And we hope that, you know, he finds something that he loves as much as he loves the sport. You know what I mean?
I agree. Another retirement. We got Jimmy Manuwa, who also announced his retirement after getting KO'd in his last fight as well. I will say this. Jimmy Manuwa is another guy who has put up so many shows for the UFC.
Yep.
Another guy.
Great performances.
Absolutely great performances. Monster puncher. Somebody who is totally gonna go down as one of the best strike artists in the game. And it's unfortunate once again. Another fighter who could also, like you said, take a year off, gain a little weight, go into heavyweight. And still make noise at that point, because that's the name that he brings, and I'm pretty sure the UFC will take him on in a heartbeat as well.
Absolutely. Jimmy Manuwa never fell under the temp seed in the light heavyweight division. He performed to his maximum capacity. He's been falling short as of late, so it's only right for him to hang it up. And I'm glad that he's doing it at not in this late of in his career. You know, it's fairly almost in the middle of his career, where you technically some of these fighters have they're on top of their game during that age, but he decided, you know what, I'm gonna hang him up, and kudos to him, and thank you so much what he did for the sport as well.
I think that's a great thing for all fighters. I think fighters need to know when it is, and someone like Gustafsson, for example, it's another perfect example. Hanging it up when there's still another 3 good years inside him, but there's life outside of it, you know. And I love to see that. We're actually as much as we talk about how much we love watching fights, we enjoy seeing fighters retire when we feel like it's that time. Before they reach that really, really downhill, and then they spiral out of control and look like BJ Penn and come back and lose a ton of fights, man.
Yeah, you're completely right.
So, it's official, guys. UFC 242 just booked Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Dustin Poirier, September 7th in Abu Dhabi. That's the main card for the lightweight championship.
Yep.
Holy
shit is right. Holy shit is right. We saw a tremendous performance by Poirier versus Max Holloway, just completely dismantle him in the lightweight division. Now we're seeing him step against Khabib. The only thing that comes to my mind is, could Khabib keep this fight in the feet? Because as we know, on his feet, Poirier. Could Poirier keep this fight on his feet? Because Khabib is looking to take you down. He's done it to every single fighter that gets into the octagon. It's the grittiest fighter we've ever seen in the octagon. He will take you down, and believe me, you will not get up. The question is, could Poirier not only hold him from taking him down, but keep it on his feet and continue throwing the heavy hands that he opposes?
I couldn't agree with you more, man. I think I really believe Poirier's in for a big dance on this one.
For sure.
But
the biggest fight of his career.
I will say Poirier deserves this. We've been talking about him being sit back like 40 podcasts ago.
Yeah.
And they should throw him in with the Wolves. They threw him in with Wolves. He beat every single Wolf that they threw at him.
Yeah.
Fucking dismantle Max
He deserves
Holloway.
it.
Prove to Max Holloway that he doesn't deserve to be in that weight division, and that is an absolute fact.
Yeah.
And now stepping into the octagon with someone like Khabib, it's like a perfect story ending for him, win or lose. You know?
I agree with you 100%.
Next fight, we got James Vick versus Dan Hooker, who's also confirmed for UFC 4 in San Antonio, Texas. This is also dated for July 20th. These two guys, first of all, James Vick needs a victory ASAP, man. He's fallen back several fights now, back-to-back fights, taking losses. James Vick, he's not doing what he was doing earlier in his career as far as speed goes.
Well, we have to take in consideration the fighters they've been putting up him against. A guy like Paul Felder is not just a fucking walk in the park. Tremendous,
But it still becomes. But where I'm getting at is that he's just becoming more predictable. His Muay Thai is what he's known for. He's great stand-up artist. Can knock out anybody with a unpredictable kick or punch. But he's becoming very predictable. I think what made him so important in this sport, in this division as well, is the fact that he was so unpredictable. He's becoming a bit more predictable, all due to him being getting a little bit slower.
Okay.
And when you're dealing with somebody who, in my opinion, is a little more hungrier, like Dan Hooker, you have a long night ahead of you. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. If we don't get a old vintage James Vick in that octagon, we could see him take a fall, because Hooker is no motherfucking joke. We'll get more into details when that fight card occurs.
Another fight that I don't want to jump too much into, because this will be in our next podcast, which would be John Lineker versus Rob Font 2, which I think is an ideal card for that specific card.
Absolutely.
And that fight is in Greensville, South Carolina, June 22nd as well.
We have to take in consideration, if UFC decides that they want to book a second fight with these opponents, is because the first matchup, it was spectacular, and this is exactly why. I mean, a guy like John Lineker, who's one extra fight away from a title fight, tremendous fight for him. Something to really look forward to, not only for the future, but for his future career, should I say? Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think you put it up there. If the UFC literally put these two guys to fight for a second time, most likely, sorry, what the hell just happened? Most likely it's because the fans wanted it, because the UFC felt like, what, we can make money out of seeing them fight too. I love it. Giving the fans what they're looking for. And last but not least, this is going to be a short podcast.
It is.
Sad to say, Cynthia Cavallo literally pulled out of UFC on ESPN 13 card. All in Sacramento, all due to a broken foot. That sucks.
This girl would go into the octagon, and she didn't have the knockout power, but the girl could fucking fight. She would leave every single fight without one bruise in her face. Her movements are spectacular. I didn't expect anything less in this particular fight. It's unfortunate that happened to her knee. we definitely look forward to seeing her fight.
Her foot.
I'm sorry, in her foot. We look forward to seeing her back into the octagon as soon as possible. But let's make sure that we recover on this 100% before getting into the octagon.
I couldn't agree with you more. Sad for this girl. This girl is true pie. She has tons of years of fucking killing some of these women in the octagon. So she's gonna. I don't believe that this is gonna set her back a career. If anything, this is more time to rest, heal that foot, come back at 100% because she's the truth. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Yep, next week, man.
And we have a great card next week, so I'm looking forward to that. Peace. My people.